In this video, we have 3 steps. The first step is to paint your watercolor paper. Then after it dries, we're going to do step 2, which is put our patterns onto our watercolor paper with the white Posca markers. And step 3 is the assembly of the cards. So this video is fairly long, and if you need to fast forward, then go for it, fast forward it. But I do have step-by-step instructions for every part of this wonderful video. When I first start out, I always add just plain water onto my dry watercolor paper. So the way we're going to start the project is we are going to paint strips of color with our watercolor paints onto our paper, and then once it's dry, then we can do the patterns with our Posca markers on top of it. When you're painting, you want to make sure that you put a lot of paint on the watercolor paper, because remember, we're going to be using white Posca ink pens, or if you have the gel pens, they're going to be white. So you want the color, even if you're using yellow, we want to make sure we put a lot of paint onto our watercolor paper. For this project, we want to paint 2 or 3 pages of watercolor paper, so then we have lots to create designs on. And so once we start cutting up the paper, we have plenty of paper to work with. The video here to show you how much color and how much paint we need to put on our paper. And then remember, after all this is done, we're going to set the page aside and then do another one with different colors. Like right now I'm doing yellow and orange and red, and then I'm going to set it aside, and then I'm going to do green and blue and purple. And I am going to do 3 or 4 pages. I don't know that I'm going to show this all in the video, but I just wanted to, tell you what's going on. And then the other thing is, we're having a lot of fun. We got to have fun when we're doing all this. This is going to be fun. Once everything's dry, then we can put all the fun patterns on top. At this time, I'm going to set this page aside so it can dry, and I'm going to start another watercolor page and add some different colors so I have lots to choose from when I go to create the cards. At this time, I'm going to set this page aside so it can dry, and I'm going to start another page and add some different colors so I have lots to choose from when I go to create the cards. Okay, here is step 2 in creating the cards. We are going to take the Posca markers and we're going to create marks on the different colors of the watercolor paper. I have provided some pages. It's a PDF with some ideas of how to create marks for the different sections of your colors. Each section of color should have its own pattern, just like the purple section of this watercolor page. It's really good to have different types of marks, like circular marks on some, and stripes or zigzag marks on another color, just so there's lots of variety. I have sped up the video just a little bit So you can see me creating the stripes, and then I'll be creating polka dots. Remember, these are your designs. You can create anything you want. I've given you some ideas, but if you want to get on Pinterest and find some other ideas, or maybe you have ideas of your own, oh my gosh, this is the fun part about creating Zentangle and patterns on artwork. Right here, I'm going to use a paintbrush to create stripes instead of using the Posca marker. I think the stripes look a little more solid when you use acrylic paint to create stripes. Some of the other marks are harder to make with a paintbrush. That's why I started using the markers. And gel pens. I am better at making straight lines if I take my paintbrush and I pull it from top to bottom than left to right or any other way. I am right-handed. So right here I'm going to turn my page around so I can still create a straighter line pulling my paintbrush from top to bottom. Don't miss another video. Subscribe today. First of all, you're going to get cardstock. You're going to fold it in half. And that's going to be the size of your card. And the reason why we go ahead and fold it in half, so you can kind of gauge how large everything is. So we've already painted all of these pieces of artwork, or this watercolor paper. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to create a heart that goes here, and we're going to put a hole in the middle so then we can put our verse in it. Got to think about how big this heart has to be. It has to pretty much be the whole size of the back here. Now there's different ways to figure out how to do this.
hearts can be easily created with pieces of paper. See, that one's too big for this piece of paper. I'll have to make it smaller. But what you do is you just get a piece of copy paper. I have more than one here. Just a piece of copy paper. You fold it in half, and then you can create different heart sizes from it. So basically, we got to make sure that our heart isn't it can't be too big because it's got to fit on here. All right, so what we're going to do, I'm just going to show you, we're going to do several different sizes and then we're going to test which one fits on the back, and we're going to draw on the back. Now, if you can just draw a heart on the back and use that, that is perfectly fine. But if you want it to be more exact, or if you want, it to be maybe wider, maybe that's what we want. We want the heart to be here. Then that's when we're going to use this. We're going to try to figure out how to get the right size with this paper. So you take this pencil and you go up, and if you want, you can put a dot down here so you can figure out where you're going. Back around, and then that's going to be a heart, and then we're going to make a smaller one up here. I'm going to put a dot down here and make a smaller one like that. May need to come down a little bit. You just have a pencil. Whoop, there. So then you take your scissors and you cut out these hearts. Or half of, if this is half of a heart, we're going to draw we drew half of a heart. So now we're going to go in here, we're going to cut out our hearts and see what size they are, and if they are still too large, we can trim them down, or we can redraw if you have plenty of copy paper. I don't know which size is going to be the best. And this is how you can create a heart quickly and easily. See, you want it to be about that size. So let's see if I can I get this out of here? I can. So what I'm doing, I'm get on camera here, is I'm taking this as my example, and I'm putting it down on my paper on the back side. Remember, this is the paper that we created the pattern on, but on the back side of this, and I'm going to lay it down here just like that, and then I'm going to trace it with a pencil. And then I'm going to cut this out. So there's my heart. And I may have to trim it just a tad because this is one of the scrap pieces of paper left over from when we painted all of our different patterns on our watercolor paper. Okay, so now we have this, we have our card, we have the first design. Now, the other thing that we're going to do is we want to put a saying right here. I'm going to have to figure out a saying that's going to work, because some of this stuff is going to be too large. Well, actually, I could put that here and put the scripture over here. That's what I'm going to do. That's the plan. Okay, so in order to have a hole here where we have a place to write this, our scripture, we're going to get this. We're going to get our paper, and it's not easy. If it's watercolor paper, it's hard to see how it's going to try to make me fold it in the wrong place. But I need to fold it in the right place. And we're going to trim a hole in this with our Okay, so we're basically doing the same thing. Move that out of the way so you can really see it. We're basically doing the same thing that we did to our paper. See? And we are going to create another one on the inside so we have, but I'm not, instead of just using this, I'm going to go in and I'm going to draw on the back of my pattern paper. And I got to figure out how tall is this going to be to make sure it's going to fit. Remember, it's going to be halfway on each. So we want to make sure there's plenty of room. So I'm going to go up and back down and try to leave as much room here as here just so that we can see the pattern. And then we're going to cut that out. And if you're using watercolor paper, it's going to be thick and harder to use your scissors, but you can do it. I know you can. I know you can do it. So now we have our heart. So we have our page, we have our heart, and we're going to be able to put our scripture on the inside of it in a few minutes. In the meantime, we are going to add our other hearts. Now, like I said, there's different ways to do this. We could use this as an example to create a good heart and put it on the back. Let's see, we already have red, so we want to do yellow and orange, and let's see what else we have. You know, God created the rainbow, and so we could use any of these colors in the rainbow. You could use yellow, and you can use purple and green, and whatever you want to use for your design. God created those designs. God created all those colors. You don't, I mean, I know a lot of times when you look at, Valentine's cards are all red or pink. Pink and red for hearts, but they don't have to be. They can be any way you want them to be. And I think I'm going to use these three colors. You kind of look at all this stuff. I like that pink though. I really like this pink. So maybe I will do pink. I like that too. Maybe I'll do, I was going to do just 3 hearts, but maybe I'll do more. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn our paper over and we're going to draw on the back some hearts. If you don't know how to draw on the back, remember you can always fold the paper over. Remember, the smaller it gets, the harder it's going to be to draw a heart or to cut out a heart out of the watercolor paper.
We are going to draw with pencils on the back of our patterned paper, so then when we flip it over, there are no pencil marks on our artwork on our cards.
I'm going to use the whole section here. I want to make sure that the heart, in fact, I think I want to turn it this way and put the dot down here and the dot right here and make it a wider heart. Ooh, I like that one. The other thing about the hearts are you don't have to make them perfect. They do not have to be perfectly symmetrical, or there are no rules in my class. You can make them any way you want to. If you only want purple and red and pink hearts, then just make purple, red, and pink hearts. There is nothing wrong with that. That is awesome. We're trying to be creative. We want to use this brain that God has given us to make creative and gorgeous art. All right. So then the last one we're going to do, I'm cutting this one out. Okay, there's two ways to glue this on here. You can use tacky glue, which I strongly suggest using tacky glue instead of other types of glue, and or double stick tape. So if there's something that's thin like this, I usually use the double stick tape because it's just easier to put it on there. Sometimes you have to cut it. I did not do a good job. I had to make it smaller. So I cut it with my scissors. But you can totally use the glue. That's just another way to go. Like this is really thin. This area down here is really thin, so I'm going to put glue on it. But you can do it either way. And I'm going to position the heart in the center, and I'm also going to position it in down at the bottom here. And I always have clean paper towels with me because you know how glue is. It kind of squirts out. So I'm going to try to get some of the glue that squirts out. Like that. And I'm going to put this guy up at the top. And then this one over to the side.
On this card, I'm creating these little hearts, and I'm going to attach them to the larger heart and make them look like little balloons.
Like that. And I'm wondering if I want some more balloons on here. It'd be kind of fun to have like a couple of more balloons of some sort. Little heart balloons. Let's see. Make me a green heart balloon and maybe a pink one. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I just drew on the back of that. I'm going to paint, it's going to be pink.
Now we're going to glue everything down and use white paper towel to clean everything up and go to the next step.
So the next step is I have given you guys a paper like this that has a bunch of different scripture on it, and you get to choose what you want to put in here. Love, God is love, which is John 4:8, or create in me a clean heart, which is, oh God, which is Psalms 51. Do everything in love, Corinthians 16, or Corinthians 1 Corinthians 1:13-4 is love is patient, love is kind. And I think that's the one that I'm going to use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it out, and then we're going to place it here, and I'm going to transfer, and I'll show you how to do this. I'm going to draw this on here. I'm going to transfer it on here. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I don't know if you watched any other videos how to do this, so I will show you what I'm talking about. Now, there's not enough room for me to do love is patient, love and kind here and put Corinthians. So I'm going to put 1 Corinthians over here, or probably over here, 1 Corinthians 13:4 over here instead of here. So what I'm going to do is first of all get a, there's two ways to do this. You can get a pencil and scrub on the back of the pencil and transfer the information, and we're going to cover it with the graphite from your pencil. So then when we draw over it, then when we turn around and draw over it, you can see it on here, and then we can go in with a marker and finish it off. And there it is.
On this version of the video, I use black transfer paper, and it made such a mess on my white card. I do not recommend using black transfer paper to transfer the verse onto your white card.
Ooh, and it made a mess when I did that, didn't it? So where's my eraser? I'm going to go in and clean this up. Oh, this is not working.
At this time, we're going to trace over the letters with black marker. You know, I used a black marker, but you don't have to use a black marker. You can use any color that you want to for your lettering and for the balloons and for the strings on the balloons. I sure hope that you enjoyed this project as much as I did. I absolutely love creating patterns and artwork and cutting and putting everything together. I did provide another image in the downloadable PDF. It is creating collage flowers for Valentine's Day. You can get the link below. So like I said, I hope that you enjoyed this project and come back and see me. Do not forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I also have a website that has all kinds of downloadable art lessons, so go check it out, and I'll see you next time.